Okay.
Oh, I have to got it. Okay. All right, guys. So welcome. Today we're gonna really just tackle objections. And when we sat back and we're like, okay, how do we really want to structure this out? And what we really wanted to focus on is, one, our confidence, two, our language, but not only that, our buildup. Because what we do in this business, like how we build up our conversations, matters. And so we really wanted to like tackle that, because if you have, like we always say, like your buildup, right, is like your bullets, right? I mean, it's like your gun, and their comments right back to you, like they're like, let's just say, they're saying, well, I want to lose weight because I want to feel better, or because I want to look, wear this dress that I bought. Those are your little bullets, because when they come at you with those objections, right, which is very common, now you have little bullets to pull back at them and say, well, remember you said this. So we really want to help you guys structure out like your language. And again, this comes with time, practice, and you evolve. And that's what kind of reminded me about the whole poser, amateur, and pro in the book Go Pro. I actually forgot, and I like messaged my sister, and I was like, which one? You've done this training so many times, and it stuck with me. And your language, somebody's not muted, I'm sorry. So your language really, like your confidence really matters. And it all stems from like what kind of a seller you are. And in this book, they talk about posers, amateurs, and pros, right? And so a poser treats this business like a lottery ticket. They are hoping to hit big with this as little effort as possible. And I wholeheartedly believe nobody here is a poser, because if you're in this group, you've invested, you are wanting to learn, you are trying to figure out the skills that make you feel comfortable and for you to use and turn around and help people, right? So I don't believe anybody in here is a poser. So we're going to just set posers aside, but it's really good for you to understand that there is posers, because when you start building your team, you want to be able to identify them. You want to be able to identify them, and then to be able to know, like, okay, what kind of energy and time am I going to give to this person until, like, am I going to keep, trying to turn them into an amateur? Am I going to just let them be? And then they'll become an amateur, and you'll be able to, again, identify when they are becoming an amateur. So it's really important to understand. And this book is an amazing book. It's called Go Pro. I know Jackie has it. She can share it on the comments, like by who it's from. Another one is the amateur, right? So an amateur focuses on finding shortcuts and luck, always implementing new shiny approaches. So an amateur is somebody that wants it, right? And they're constantly like jumping on this training. Oh, I love that. And then they implement it for a week, and then they jump on this training, and they're like, oh my God, I love that. And then they never create a system that makes them feel like, and they never do a system long enough for it to finally work, right? And so they're constantly kind of like they're trying to grab as much to finally get lucky and one thing blow up and it be that thing, right? But a pro knows that it's going to be practice and practice and practice on the one thing, right? A pro stops focusing on luck, timing, positioning, and shortcuts. They focus on the skills and made the commitment to practice until they master them. Remember, they don't focus on timing. They don't say, oh, I've been doing this for 3 months and I've gotten I'm not here, I'm not there, and this must not be for me, right? That's like an amateur mindset. A pro does not put a time on it. They just focus on the skill at hand and how to master that skill. So we kind of wanted to do, again, kind of like a, oh my God, I'm having brain farts. By the way, guys, yesterday, role play. Thank you. I've been having like massive brain farts. Role play. We want to do role playing, and we want to talk a little bit about like the language between an amateur and a pro. But let's talk. Go ahead, Maddie, and let's talk about our buildups.
Yeah. So when we go into our objections in the next few slides, like whether you have a certain amount of like one objection over the other, it all comes from your buildup. You're not just going to get an objection from someone watching your story. They're not just going to send you an objection of it's too expensive. You're going to have that conversation or a lack of conversation beforehand to where you're going to get that objection, whatever it might be. So for an amateur, I'll do kind of an amateur one. And then if someone else wants to jump in and do like a pro build up, because like the thing that is really cool about this call is that we all do things very differently. I might not have such a buildup as both of the ladies on here do. But that doesn't mean that I don't have as much success. We all do it differently, and you're going to find what works best for you, what you feel confident in. Maybe you are asking 2 questions and then straight to the point. Maybe you're having multiple conversations before you get to the point. It's totally what feels good to you and what feels authentic. But for an amateur, that buildup might be something like, I send them an invite and I'm like, oh, I saw that you liked my post. Here's a link to the workouts I'm doing. Let me know if you have questions. No background of how that's going to help them. You have no idea what their problem is. You have no idea what might be what's stopping them from that motivation or whatever it might be. You're just going straight to sending them the link and hoping they fill it out. And I think that's one of the biggest problems with, getting lucky, like we said, with people that aren't or like that amateur level, is like we're hoping to get lucky that person's in a good mood that day and they press submit on their link. And that's not going to set us up for success. We have to be able to ask them questions and see where they're at. So if someone wants to do more of like a pro build up and how that's going to affect your objection.
I see this all the time, and it's not to say like, Veronica was like, oh, you're not posers. I don't think anybody ever tries to be posers or even amateurs, but we do have those habits that can look like a poser or like an amateur. And we want to try to veer away from that and try to get towards every single time we're inviting somebody or talking to somebody, we're thinking with that pro mindset. So when I'm talking to somebody for the first time, having to just send them a link or just whatever, first of all, for me, it feels really icky. Like, I don't want to just send somebody a link and be like, oh, here, check out my group. Okay, thanks. I haven't learned anything about this person. They don't know anything about me. And really that's important because I am like a freaking rock star. Like, I'm amazing. And like, I want them to know that about me. I don't want them to just see me as like some person who's just sending them a link, like hoping that they're going to fill it out or join it or whatever. And vice versa. I want to get to know them, So when I first reach out to somebody, I do thank them for whatever they did. For example, watching my stories, loving on my posts, putting a comment, whatever, or even just following my page. I send them a message that just says, hey, I'm so glad that you're following along my page. Where are you from? Nothing to do with Beachbody, nothing to do with health or fitness or anything like that. Just literally getting to know them. And I don't want to waste their time or mine, right? So by learning where they're from, what if they're in, I don't know, Africa? Like, I can't sell them Beachbody, right? So like, I need to know from the forefront, like, this is a person who I could eventually work with, right? So then once they actually start talking to me and we get that conversation going, then I might throw in something like, hey, are you on any kind of a health journey, or are you looking to start a health journey of any kind? And this will also kind of make sure that we're not wasting each other's time. Maybe they've heard of Beachbody before. Maybe they know about Beachbody programs. Maybe they are already somebody who goes to the gym 7 days a week. Like, if I don't lead up with those questions and get to know them a little bit, then I really could be wasting our time a lot. So I definitely make sure that I lead up with questions. I get to know them. And Veronica was also saying before we got on this call, how she doesn't just throw in that invite the first time she talks to someone. She allows them to kind of go on her feed. What's the first thing someone's going to do when you message them? They're going to go on your feed and they're going to be like, okay, who is this person? What do they want? Go on your stories and check out who you are as a person and what you're doing and what you have to offer. So it's also important that when I'm messaging people and just getting to know them, I look at my page and I go, okay, what stories do I have up right now? Is this a good representation of who I am? Are they going to go to my page and see something that looks appealing and fun and exciting and maybe even a little enticing to join me? So that lead up to getting to know somebody before you actually get to the inviting part is super important as somebody who really wants to build this business and not just looking for, like we said, a quick lotto ticket of some kind. Okay.
Yeah, I love it. And so something that, we're always telling is ask questions. So like Jackie mentioned, and it was so great. And it was kind of refreshing to hear everybody's, because when we got on this call, before we got on this call, we kind of like talked with each other and like Maddie was saying, is that we all have different styles, and there's so many different styles. So you have to find which one makes you feel right, which one doesn't feel as, doesn't feel icky, right? And that's something that you go evolving into, you start growing and changing into. So I love that. And something that I say is that I do a lot of reaching out to people behind the scenes. I reach out to a lot of people, but I don't invite, right? I don't right away invite them. I reach out to specific people, the ones that, like my transformation posts, the ones that are viewing my stories till the end. I reach out to them and I say, hey, I see you. Thank you. I appreciate you. How are you? How's it going? And then I go to their page and I check out their social media and I say, oh, I see that your daughter is in gymnastics. So is my daughter. I find some sort of way to connect with them. And what I was saying is that sometimes naturally they come to me and they bring up the health part of it, because they do the same. They go to my social media, they see what I'm about, and then they say, oh my gosh, I need to lose weight. And they end up sparking the conversation. But if they don't spark the conversation, I don't start it first. Maybe by the third or fourth time that I reach out to them and I say, hey, I see you always loving on my transformation post. Can I ask you something? And they'll say, sure. Are you also on a health journey? So like these are what we call buildups, so that when we do get objections, we have that ammo I was talking about to then now tackle those objections. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and now talk about a little bit about those objections.
Perfect. So I'm going to tackle this first one because I think it's one of the most commonly heard, right? Is like, I can't afford this program, or I can't afford this right now due to the holidays, or whatever that money objection is going to be. I remember tackling this so differently when I started this business at 20 years old, because one, I did not have money, and I totally felt exactly how these people felt. $160 was like almost half of my rent. And so that was a lot of money for me. And so I remember telling my coach, like, oh, this isn't going to work, so I'm going to return this in 30 days. And so when I go into those conversations and I get those objections, because I'm human, we still get the money objections, no matter how long you've been in this business, it happens. But if I can go into that conversation talking about solving their problem based on, maybe they say they want to lose 10 pounds before their wedding. Great. So if your goal is to lose 10 pounds, we have this program that I can guarantee within the next 30 days, you're going to be at least halfway closer to that goal. And I tell them how it's going to help them based on the nutrition, based on the supplements. And within all of that, for one time, it's $160. And I talk about their specific problem, not just that this general program is $160, but how this product is going to solve their problem. You're going to get so many less money objections. I also use the feel, felt, found method. So I always say, like, I totally know how you feel, because I felt the same way as a broke ass college student trying to get healthy on my journey. But what I found was that I was spending $160 on groceries that weren't serving me and that were putting me farther away from my goal, because I was shopping through all the middle aisles of the grocery store. And when I started to dive into my programs, that was something that they really focused on, is perimeter shopping at the grocery store. And I was cutting my grocery bill in half because of that. So I totally know how it feels to not feel like you have enough money right now to jump into this program. But trust me, when you start to look at different bills and what you're spending money on, I think this could really benefit you. It's not trying to put anybody down for not having a certain amount of money. It also is not trying to make them feel bad, because I think sometimes we feel like when we handle an objection, we're saying, well, that's an excuse, like jump in. But being able to feel to their emotions is super important. And then if you're to look at this from a coach perspective and you're sending it to a coach prospect and they're telling you that they can't afford this program, what if we turned it and been like, I totally know what that feels like. But if you were to bring 3 friends in right now, you would completely pay for your product and everything else is extra. So do you have 3 friends that you can think of that would benefit from doing this boot camp with you? And just putting it into a different perspective, not just on how much the program is, but what it looks like to help people along their journey. So that's a little bit about how I would handle that objection as more of the pro level, but an amateur would get this objection and be like, okay, no worries, I totally feel ya, and then just move on with the conversation, or just not even revisit the conversation. And we see that so often because I always make my new coaches send me screenshots of what their conversations look like. What does it look like when you're getting these money objections? Because oftentimes we just brush it away instead of really trying to connect to that person how this solution can help their problem. So if you guys have any other tips or how you guys handle money objections, feel free to jump in. Jackie and Vera, are you good?
No, I think you covered it, Maddie. Like, that's absolutely true. Like, you have to lead up to what this is, because when you just, like, when someone asks me, like, how much is it? Like, if we have not had a conversation before that, I'm not going to give them a number. I'm not going to just like throw out, oh, it's $160. You want to do it? Like, they have no perspective of like where that $160 is going to go. And like, to some people, that's a lot of money. I mean, it's not like something to just bat an eye at. So you want to make sure that they understand that what they're getting. I know that I used to pay $20 a month for a gym membership that I never freaking used, you know? And so like after a year, here I was spending like what, $240 on this gym membership that just went to waste. So I try to tell them that, like, you know, this is something that, yes, it's an investment, but sometimes when you put your money, hard-earned money, into something that, you know, is something that's going to improve your health, it makes it so that you're going to want to do it. You're going to commit to it because you've invested your hard-earned money into it, you know? So it depends where we are in the conversation, but definitely leading up to that, like Manny said, you know, being an amateur, you're going to just like throw out a number, or you're just going to, you know, quickly be like, oh, it's $160. I know it's really expensive, but, you know, and it's like, no, it's not very expensive. It's actually a really, really great deal. But if you feel like it's expensive, you're going to kind of portray that to them.
And something, and to piggyback off of that, it's in your confidence, the way you say it. So like, so I present it in two different ways. Sometimes I present it with a voice text, so they can, one, hear my confidence in my voice. They can sense how excited I am. And when I do give them the price and I say, you're going to get all of these things, because I list the things that they're going to get, which is like, feels like endless, right? It's so long that I have it copy. I have to copy and paste it, because imagine if I had to write that every single time, because it's bullet, like all the things they're going to get in the total solution. And then I always follow it up with, and you're going to get all of that for only $159, starting at $159, right? When you speak with that confidence, that people will sense that, and they will go, oh, I always get, oh, wow, that's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I get that response so much because I'm telling them with so much confidence.
And right before we jump to the next one, I just put in the chat kind of like what I'll list out as a way, because I remember as a new coach, I wanted to tell them so many things, and then I would just word vomit. And then they're like, okay, that was overwhelming. So this is just kind of something that I've been using for at least 4 years now, and it still works. And it just kind of is a simple breakdown. And whether you voice memo it and you're kind of reading off this, I just would save it to your notes just so you have for future reference. But Jackie's going to handle objection number 2.
Yeah. And I did see a question.
I wanted to say something. Monica, do you want to say something?
I just wanted to share one quick thing, because I feel like I remember when someone would be like, just have confidence. And I'd be like, but inside, like, I didn't feel confident, right? I'm learning, look, we have to slow down to speed up and do these kinds of, like, fight these objections. So when I go into it, I first tackle my own thoughts. Guys, think about your thoughts before you're going into a conversation with someone. If you, and I know, because it's very hard to be like, well, I'm just going to think this, you know, but if you honestly in your brain have right now, she's going to say no, or the thoughts of I'm bothering her, or, oh my God, here comes another objection, or, you know, all the naysayers, she's not going to need this. She's going to say it's too expensive. Like, I'm going to fail here. If you're going into that, I don't care how much you try to be confident, it's going to come off from a bad place. We have to slow down to speed up. We have to get our thoughts in place. And so it helps me with these objections whenever I go, because trust me, Maddie, Veronica, Jackie, like, we still have to put on the same armor when we go out there to battle objections all these years later. Confidence is not something you just all of a sudden have. It's something you practice, just like your workouts. Every single day that you do a workout, hey, if you don't go for a week and don't do it for a week, guess what? There goes all your muscle, right? Same thing. If you don't constantly practice the getting out there and the action of confidence, it goes away. So it's the same thing. Before I go in, I first sit down and I say to myself, what are my thoughts going into this? I know I have something that can change a woman's life around. I know something that tools I can hand on to her, a community I can hand over to her and have her be a part of, that is going to change the way she interacts with her children, with her husband. I know that what I have to offer is going to make her feel like $1,000,000 come this spring break for that trip she's planning with her family, and she's not going to be hiding behind her kids. I know that I have the tool that's going to make her a better teacher. Like, you have to sit down and slow down and get those thoughts in the right place, because those thoughts are going to affect the way you feel about going out there and doing these follow-ups and battling these objections, and it's going to affect the way you show up to them. So I know it's very easy to be like, speak with confidence, but a lot of you guys, I know what you're thinking. Like, I'm brand new, and I hear Hillary, oh, I'm brand new, I'm not a pro yet, I'm still an amateur. Like, those are the thoughts you have in your head. You all have exactly what you need to battle this from a place of confidence. You already have it. You're doing it. You are it, right? So make sure you slow down to hone in on that first before you go out there to battle these objections, because it's going to come from a whole different place, and you're going to surprise yourself with what you already have inside of you, and you know that you could pass on to the next person.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
And again, what Jeanette shared in the beginning of this Diamond Push will really help you with that. What Monica was saying, that mindset, that thing that Jeanette does is amazing. So it's so important. And it's something, again, like she said, it's a skill that you learn. It's like flexing that muscle. You just got to keep flexing until it grows and grows and grows. And the only way to flex that muscle is to get objections and go through it, right? And you're gonna, and allow yourself, room to like, maybe not fail, but or make mistakes, or say, man, like, okay, I could have said it differently, or reflect on what you did, right? And allow yourself to grow from that. Absolutely. I mean, this is like a trial and error kind of thing until you've mastered. And that's what we said, a pro practices and practices and practices until they get it like perfect. So.
And Hillary had a question. She said, how quickly do you build these relationships? It really depends for me. Like, I did start getting followers, that were not friends and family, but honestly, I was in my warm market for probably about 1.5 years, just inviting people that I knew, friends of friends, family members of friends of family members. Like, it didn't, I started getting strangers, so to speak, on my social media fairly quickly, because I was doing like stories and reels and stuff like that. But it really depends, how long it takes for you to grow that relationship. Some people I talk to for months before they eventually join me. Other people I talk to for a couple of days and they're like ready to go, so it really just depends on the person, where they are in their life, making sure that you just continually to check on them and talk to them and love on their posts and watch their stories. I think it really speaks volumes. And, if I'm talking to somebody and they seem interested, they're maybe just not ready, I just keep on following up with them and checking in on them. And usually eventually they will join. So we're going to talk a little bit. Go ahead.
Sorry. I always use my example with Monica. It wasn't when Monica wanted me to become a coach. It was when I was ready to become a coach. And
right.
It took me 4 years, 4 years to be ready. So
everybody has their own timeline, and you can't rush it. You can't speed it up. And that's why there's a delay in this business. You can talk to 50 people in one day, but you can't just like expect those 50 people to join you tomorrow. There'll be a trickle effect of when people are going to decide to eventually join you. So we want to tackle objection number 2. And this is more of a coaching invite, which I love. I love that people are thinking about when they're going to be, inviting coaches and talking about, how they're going to be building their business below, right? Because we all know that that's what we want to happen eventually. So I get this objection all the time, especially from my current challengers, which is a really great place to grab, working coaches from, is your current challengers, people who already know the programs, they love them. If you're a newer coach, I usually wait about 2 weeks of really following up diligently with these people before I invite them to the coaching opportunity. That kind of goes back to that lead up of those questions, really getting to know the person, really getting them invested in their own health and fitness journey, and then going into, talking to them about coaching. But this is almost always the first objection that I get. I need to work on myself first. I could not do what you do. So an amateur response would be more like, oh yeah, I totally get it, girl, no problem. Woo, peace out. Like that would be something that I used to do, like, I don't want to bother them. I don't want to lose them as a challenger. I don't want to lose them as like, somebody who's going to continue to be on my challenge group and purchase product from me. I don't want to offend them. You get very nervous about how people are going to react to you. But at the end of the day, I've really found personally that I am more accountable, more dedicated, more disciplined to my own fitness journey because I'm a coach. And a lot of people don't realize that, they think, oh, I'm already fit. So like me, they think I'm already fit. So that's why she's a coach. And it's like, no. I'm fit because I'm a coach. Like there's a reason why I continue doing this every single day. And that's because I'm a coach. And they might look at me and be like, okay, well, I can't do what Jackie does. Like she has challenge groups, she has an accountability group, she runs health bets, she's on social media every single day, she shares like 100 stories all the time, she does reels, she, you know, her social media looks amazing, she has like almost 3,000 followers. I can't do that, you know, and really breaking it down and helping them to understand that it doesn't have to look like what I do. I'm 2.5 years into coaching. I'm not a brand new coach. I'm not somebody who just started. When you're first starting out coaching, what you're doing is you're asking your friends and family to be your accountability partners. You don't need to coach anybody. We have all of that for you, right? All of our upline leaders, all of our coaches, we all have groups that you can invite to. I know Monica right now has a group going on right now. I have a group, Maddie has a group, Veronica has a group that you can just put your people into. And if you don't have a group, by the way, you're here in this Diamond Dash, highly recommend thinking about that, right? Having a group that your people can invite to so that they can get in on this with them. So yes, we all should be working on ourselves first and foremost. And I say that when they give me this objection, absolutely. That is what you should be doing. You should always work on yourself first. That's what I do every single day. When I get up in the morning, I do my PD, I do my workout, I drink my Energize, I make sure that I am pouring into myself first. I have to do that as a coach. Isn't that a beautiful thing to be held accountable to actually working on yourself every single day? That's where the coaching foundation is. And after that, all you have to do is really just think about who in your life could use this, because if this is changing your life, imagine how it could change your friends and family's lives. I know that for me, the community has been absolutely incredible in some of the darkest times of my life. But you know, that might not be what they need. Maybe they just need motivation. Maybe they just need discipline. And bringing in their mom and their sister and their best friend, who were like the first 3 people that I signed up personally, right? My mom, my sister, my best friend, my husband, right? By bringing them into your circle and saying, hey, look, we're doing 21 Day Fix. I don't really know what the hell I'm doing, but can you please join me so we can do this together? By positioning it that way, it doesn't feel so scary and overwhelming for them. They're not, you know, thinking about like, oh, I have to make sales. They're just thinking like, how can I get my friends and family to do this with me so that we can be accountability partners together? And that's very important, that they see that the business in the beginning doesn't have to look like what you're doing or what I'm doing or what Veronica or Maddie is doing. It's really just about having your friends and family join you and doing this together. And then they will see the other things that come along with it, you know, continue to learn about them and talk to them and encourage them to build the business. Yes, but it really just starts with them, with their own accountability and their own, you know, motivation. Veronica and Maddie, if you want to add anything to that.
You nailed that. That was spot on. So we're going to go ahead and just tackle objection number 3. This is one that I was like, I'm so passionate about this one because of that word motivation. How many of you guys have had somebody say, I'm just not motivated like you, or I'm just not motivated, or I have too much on my plate that I just don't feel like I'm in a place that I can do this right now, or I'm motivated. And I would love to tackle this objection as a customer and even as a coach mindset, because even coaches will say like, oh, I don't want to do the coaching because I have too much on my plate right now and I'm not motivated, right? So I feel like an amateur, right? When they get this kind of objection, they're just like, oh, I totally believe you can do it. Just give it a try and let's see, right? Or why don't you just do it for a month and see how it goes, right? Like, I feel like you're already giving them an out before they even start when you do that, when you say like, just give it a try and see where it goes, right? And I think like we unintentionally, maybe, because again, we know we know how awesome and how this can actually change their lives. But when you give somebody an out before they even start, like, you know, that's just they're gonna come in with the mentality like, I'm just not gonna really give it my all. I'm gonna show that it doesn't work, and so that I have my out, right? So I feel like a pro mentality, right, on this kind of objection is to really hone in on, well, one, like, I would love to hear like some of the things that are on your plate, and all of those things on your plate, like, how do they make you feel? Like, how are they serving you? Right. I asked like some of these hard questions. And when you say motivation, Like, what does that mean to you? So what I'm hearing, and when they give me what they say, right? And I say, so correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I'm hearing is that you're not starting because you're not motivated, correct? Because you feel like you have too much on your plate that is not serving you, or you feel like you're stretched thin, and what I'm hearing from you is that you are, pouring into like your kids and this and that, and you're not really pouring into yourself, into your cup, and you feel stretched, which is causing you not to feel motivated. Am I hearing this right? I always like try to say like, is that what you're saying? And then when they say yes, this is where I say, okay. So here's where I say like, and this is like my tough love. And I have like this way, like a tough love. And I say like, motivation is not something that you're going to have all the time. Like motivation, if you're constantly working off of motivation, guess what? You're human, and there's going to be days you don't feel motivated. And all you're doing is you're conditioning your mind and your body to only act when it's motivated. How about when you're not motivated, right? Therefore, because you're human, and as you go on this journey, you're going to have ups and downs, right? There's going to be days that you feel like you can conquer the world. And there's going to be days that you feel like, I'm a failure, right? Like I can't do this. This is hard, right? But on the days that you feel that way, despite how you feel, right? This word motivation, you're going to still take the actions that are going to move you forward, right? You're going to constantly be pouring into your cup, which will pour into others, right? That you especially everything that's on your plate, by you starting this, right? By you starting your health journey and pouring into yourself. Have you ever thought that maybe this would help you tackle everything on your plate better, right? Like you'll have more energy, you'll have more, you'll feel in a better mood to tackle these things. So when I really bring it into like perspective, and this whole notion that you have to be motivated, and I tell them all the time, I said, do you think I wake up every day motivated to work out? Absolutely not. Like I'm human. I don't feel motivated every single time, but I do it because I know that that's what's going to help me be the best version to serve my family, to serve people around me, and to serve all of those things on my plate, and I tackle them better. And so this whole thing that you have to be motivated to move, to take action, is such a misconception. And I debunk that whole motivation thing. And I always say like that motivation is a liar. It's a liar. It's not something that, you have to be motivated to take action. And so when I really talk to them and I walk them through, but before I walk them through my perspective of motivation, my opinion on motivation, and, not filling your cup and having a plate so full that you're stretched thin, I first ask a lot of questions, and I even ask them how they feel. Like, how do you feel right now? When by the end of the day, when you lay down, like, what do you feel? And they'll express, because those are some questions. Think about it. Like, not a lot of people will ask them these questions, and sometimes they don't even ask themselves those questions, and they'll be like, wait, I feel stressed out. I feel anxious. I feel, unmotivated, right? I feel like tired, right? And so then you can say, well, when you start your day and you fill your cup, by the end of the day, you're not running from an empty cup. You still got a little left, right? And so, if we're only working, and this is where I challenge them. I challenge you, start now that you're not motivated. I challenge you, start now that you're not motivated, because now you're going to condition your mind to take action despite how you feel. And that, my friend, is what's going to make you unstoppable in anything in life. And I even say in anything in life, not even talk about this journey, in anything that you're doing in life, that's going to make you unstoppable. And so when I presented to them that way, again, first collecting information from them, it really puts it into perspective with them. And they're like, okay, so maybe I don't have to start when I'm motivated. And then when they see me constantly popping up on their, social media, they're not saying to themselves, oh, she's just motivated, it must be nice. And I'm not, right? No, I told them I'm not always motivated. I don't walk into my garage all the time to be like, yay, I get to work out, right? Like there are days that I feel like that, but there are other days that I'm like, like that, TikTok that everybody's doing where you're walking all like annoyed, right? Like I do that walk a lot, right? Like pouting. But it's because I've conditioned my mind to not work off of motivation. And so just really walking people through that, I feel like has really helped them say like, okay, you know what, you're right. Or maybe not. Maybe sometimes they're like, I hear you and I appreciate or thank you, but it's just not my timing. And I say, okay. Right. And so that's another thing too. When we tackle these objections, they're not 100%, guys. It doesn't mean like we get 10 for 10 every time we tackle these objections. Let's be honest. We're still, and again, it's when it's their time. So, but you planted the seed, you planted, you tackled those objections. And I promise you, they are thinking of it, right? Doesn't mean they're going to start right away. They are thinking of it. And when something happens in their life, it can be as simple as they couldn't button that pants, or as simple as I had somebody reach out to me, say that they lost their job and they don't want to go back into the field. And now this opportunity is something that they really want to look into, right? It could be something as dramatic as that, but it was their time. And so we have to just be around and ready with open arms, and make sure that these conversations that we're having, that we don't end them like, all right, whatever, like suit you, right? Or like, right. We have to just love on them where they are and say, I totally understand you and I'll be here when you're ready. And I can't wait. And I know that this can be life-changing and I'm just so excited for you. But when you're ready, I'll be here. Right. And keeping the door open so that they don't feel like they're going to come back to you like, okay, you told me so, right? They're not, you don't want it to end where it's like that, So I think that that's something that I love. And then again, we can talk about that when it comes to coaching, right? People say, oh, I can't coach because I have too much on my plate. Well, why do you want to coach? Well, first of all, again, I talk about what's on their plate. How is it serving them? Can we tackle these things on our plate with a different, right? When we fill our cup, do you think that, so I asked them, do you think if you working out and you losing 10, 15 pounds, how will it make you feel? Oh, it'll make me feel great. Do you think you'll have more energy? Absolutely. Do you think that having that more energy will help you tackle the things on your plate better? For sure. Okay. So that you see where this is going, right? And so this is where I tell them, okay, so, and the same thing with the business, right? The same thing. So what do you want out of this business? And do you think that making an extra $500 will help some things on that plate? Do you think that, doing this will help certain things on that plate? And then that's how I can kind of bring in the business aspect, how the business can absolutely change their dynamic, their situation that they're in that very moment. So it's really, again, asking the questions to then turn around and say, like, when they bring you these objections, it's to have, right, not be ready and equipped to just kind of guide them through their own, their own objections. You're going to kind of get them to say with their own objections, oh, okay, yeah, that's pretty, okay, yeah, you're right, And so that's kind of how I like to
remember to show up authentically as yourself. Like, Veronica's like, that is exactly what you're saying. It's so true, because when you leave that conversation, you're leaving a taste in their mouth of whether they're going to want more or they're going to be like completely turned off. And I've had people who literally come to me a year later and they're like, I just remember talking to you. You were so passionate about this. I'm still showing up. So they know I'm still here for them. And they're like, and now I'm ready. So planting those seeds, like Monica was saying in the chat, planting those seeds, it's so important to make sure that you are asking questions and showing actual like care for what is happening in their life. You have to show true care for what they're going through. Don't just push it away and be like, oh no, it's fine. You're good. Like, don't worry. Like, just do this anyway. Like if they're really going through something bad, show care for them. And when they're ready, they're going to come back to you because they're going to remember how you treated them.
Yeah. And you just said something that really reminded me of something, guys. Back in the day, I'm sorry, somebody needs to mute themselves. Back in the day, like in my beginning of coaching, I remember the objections I felt was in a personal no to me. Like I felt like they were saying no to me. Like, oh my God, like what did I do to you? Like I didn't do anything to you for you to like, and I took it so personal. And I think that was my amateur, and it was like a defense mechanism because, I don't know. I never was in a predicament in my life where, I was a teacher, right? For so many years, I wasn't in a predicament where I was getting, turned down left and right. And I didn't realize, I sometimes didn't realize that's what this was, I was coming into, and I wasn't prepared for that. And I took those objections so personally. And I think a pro knows it's not about you. It's not about you. And that's why we're so big on, it's not because you said you invited them that they should say yes. It's when they're ready. But it's so important to let them know that you have a door for them to go walk through when they're ready. And that's what we do as coaches. We plant all of those seeds. We create those doors for all of these people for their time. So when they're saying no, they're not saying no to you. It has nothing to do about you, your style, your team. That's nothing to do with you. It's about them. And they're saying no to them, and they're saying no to the situation that they're in right now. And when you really come into a conversation with that mentality and understand that, that's where you come off in a way that you're like, okay, I hear you. And I believe in you, but I understand that you have to be ready too. So here's the door. It's right there. I'm just going to crack it open for you. And when you're ready, I got you, boo. Right. And that's it. And you leave that conversation that way. Cause I remember, and I look at my conversations back then, and I used to be like, okay, fine. Well, you know what? And I remember taking it so personal. Right. And again, that's something that we go evolving into. So yeah.
And then one last thing on this objection, just from more of the coach side, like Veronica was talking about earlier. When you get that objection, when you have new coaches joining your team and they're like, I just have so much on my plate, coaching is my last priority right now, you have to ask them why they're doing this. And oftentimes new coaches say, because they want to help people, right? We hear that so often, but some of us veteran coaches, it makes us want to pull our hair out, because obviously you wouldn't be doing this if you didn't want to help people. But that reason is what's going to make this be the lowest priority. So when you have too much on your plate, coaching just gets pushed to the next day and the next day and the next day. But if we can ask them those hard questions of why selfishly did you say yes to coaching, you're going to be able to help them reprioritize. Maybe on those hard days, I just send 5 invites because this is still important for me to grow my business. And you're going to see that shift in our coaches of I need to make $500 this month. So I need to show up, and I have a lot on my plate, but I need to reprioritize what I'm doing so that I can still show up to this. Because again, as a new coach, I had 3 other jobs, but I knew if I showed up just for an hour a day on this, I would be able to start saying no to working extra shifts at the coffee shop or taking on extra fitness classes. And I could say yes to the things that filled my cup and I love to do, which was this, because I love to help people. But I also had those selfish reasons of I wanted to make an income. That was a huge driving force for me 4.5 years ago. And to the day right now, that's not selfish. You just have to have those reasons deep down of why you're showing up every day. So we know it's that close to the end of the month. So we just want to give you guys, before we end up, we're trying to finish this up within at least an hour, but our Success Club Crunch. So we kind of talked about just having something to invite to is so important. You can't just go out there, post something one day on social media and think someone's going to vote on the poll and join your group. You have to send a personal message. You have to invite them to that Taylor Swift concert to come with you. They're not just going to be like, oh, maybe she has an extra ticket. Maybe she'd want to bring me as her guest. No, you have to personally invite them. So each of us have a few different things that we're doing in February that we're inviting to right now, and that we encourage you to either team up with your upline, team up with someone in this group if you don't have someone. But the diamond mindset is so crucial here. I did not get to diamond relying on my upline or my coach to host groups for me. I took it upon myself and I teamed up with other women to do this for myself because I wanted a business. I didn't want to just run off my coach because truthfully, I didn't have a coach that was working the business. I was left to figure it out. And so I encourage you to have that mindset of like, what can I make my own in February that gives me so much excitement to invite to, that when I go to send that invite to someone, I am like ecstatic about what I'm doing and I want them to be a part of it because it's going to change their life. So for me, I'll talk about what I'm doing and each person can kind of jump in on what their group looks like just to give you guys some ideas. But mine is a self-love booty camp. So I said in the beginning of the year, and I keep talking about like, this is the year of the glutes. Like I want to build my glutes. And so I put together a MASH calendar for 28 days that has different booty workouts. Obviously I put on some other, muscle groups because we're not doing booty 7 days a week for 28 days straight, but that's our focus. And it's something fun. It's something different. It lives up my page. And I am so excited about it because I just came off job 1 doing 20 minutes and I need to do something that's a little bit more intense for me right now. And that's just where I'm at. So I'm excited to invite to that. And on top of it, they have to commit to either doing Shakeology or the performance stack for all 28 days. And if you complete that, we're going to have a prize for those women at the end. So that's something that I'm inviting to, and I'm so super excited about. And I invite that for my downline. But again, we encourage you to start thinking about making this your own because you are the CEO of your own business. You probably hear that all the time, but this isn't just an employee mindset where you just plug in, you show up and hope people join you. You have to be doing that diligent work and running with your own ideas to make this work. But if anyone wants to jump in on what they're doing, just to give some other ideas.
Yeah, so I'm doing a health bet. I saw Mo, she was like, I'm doing a health bet. And I was like, cool, I'll do a health bet too. Like, because I know that I provide more value for my challengers if I am leading this. They want to see me at the forefront. They want to see me leading challenges and me leading health groups. And as much as it would be easier for me to just throw everybody in Monica's group, I know that I have to take control of my own challengers and my own volume and all the things that come along with that. And it kind of lights a fire under my ass to get people in that group, right? Because like if you have a group that's going on, you got 5 people signed up, you're like, oh shit, I better get more people into this group. So I'm running a health bet. It's going to be 4 weeks. They have to have, similar to what Maddie was talking about, they have to have a performance stack or Shakeology. I'm also allowing other combinations like the Go and Glow, or I think we have just a couple combinations that they can choose from in order to be a part of this health bet. They have to pay $10 to get in it. And then they have to log 5 days a week, their workouts and their supplements. And then there's gonna be pop-up challenges. And I just really just modeled this after what I saw Veronica and Monica doing their health bets from. And I'm like, I'm just gonna run my own, and I do mine personally on Facebook. I also have a bod group that's like open, but a lot of my challengers don't do it on there. So I just do it on Facebook, and that's what works for me. And I think that this is really exciting because I get to invite to something that's new. It's open to any, like Maddie's using a hybrid calendar. This is open to any Beachbody program. So I love that it gives them the option of doing job 1 if they want to do that again, because it's a 4-week program. But I'm also, offering, hey, we can do like the first phase of 9-week Control Freak, or we could do like 4 weeks of the prep or whatever. One of my coaches is like, hey, I have an autumn hybrid calendar. Can I share that with the group? And I'm like, that's perfect because 4-week gut protocol is happening in March. So let's share that with the group, So really any avenue that you can take to just gain interest and excitement and volume, obviously, for people wanting to purchase product, it's really important. And just having something to invite to. I'm already thinking, as all of us should be, March, what are we going to do for the next month?
So Debbie asked a great question: ongoing group or new group each time? And I'll answer my perspective. I do a new group each time because I like to add sense of urgency. So right now, guys, we are focusing at the end of the month, right? So, and I want to just really quickly, and I want to clear the air here because I'm guilty of this, and I'm not guilty because that's how I built my business. But I made it my first year 5-star elite. Not my first year, my second or third year coaching, by plugging into Monica's stuff and Christina's stuff and all of that before I felt comfortable to do my own, right? And so like, I want to give you guys permission. If right now you're like, okay, I don't know about hosting my own, you're going to eventually have to, yes, absolutely flex that muscle and start, but link arms with other coaches. Or at this very moment, since right now we do have like a couple of days left that we are trying to hit Success Club, jump in, Monica's Health Bed or one of the other coaches, I saw a bunch of people on the chat saying they have link arms with them, and absolutely. But the whole point is to have something to invite to and have a sense of urgency. Like, as you guys can see on this, I like to do, and this is a style that I adopted like 3 years ago. And it was like a health bet / team cup. And I kind of merged the two. And I did this because I realized, man, in team cups, we're accountable to the team, right? And health bet, you dangle anything, any shiny carrot in front of me, and I am I am, so competitive, I will go after it. And so I kind of merged the two, and I created what is called Fit Wars. And so what it is that within the challenge group, everybody's placed on a team of 5, and now those teams will branch off and have their own little chats, and we go against each other, and everybody pitches in $5, and there's a big money pot, and the end of the challenge, the winning team will earn they'll split the money pot evenly. So they'll put in $5 and the winning team walks away with, I don't know, 35, 40, $50, whatever. So it makes it really fun. And it's not like breaking anybody's, bank either. It's $5. And what I do is the way you contribute to your team is by working out, drinking a shake, and logging it in. So what is that causing everybody to do? To do the things that they need to do to get results. So they might hate it along the way, but they don't want to let their team down. And they're probably cursing at the challenge and the group itself because, and I had people tell me, oh my God, I didn't want to be the one person in the team that didn't work out today. Or oh my God, I realized it was 11 o'clock at night and I didn't drink my shake. So I had to run downstairs and make my freaking shake, where I normally would have just been like, whatever. But because I was accountable to a team and I didn't want to let my team down, I stuck it through and I got results. So I tend to see that we will give up on ourselves, and people will give up on themselves way faster than giving up on a team. So that's why I kind of like this dynamic. And again, all ways are great ways. And I personally just redo a new group every single month, because I say, and I had people message me 2-3 days later after the group started. I'm like, I'm sorry, group is closed, but I'll have another one happening in a month. I'll reach out to you and let you know. And then, so now putting that sense of urgency. So then they have to get the things that they need to join the group, right? In order to contribute points, you have to be on Shakeology and you have to have the workouts. So it's perfect. So personally, me, I don't have an ongoing. I create a new group every single month so that I have, like you can see, deadline to join is February 4th, right? I'm putting a sense of urgency. So now when I go to invite people, I'm like, listen, I know we've been talking about this, group, you've been on the fence about joining. I just want to let you know, deadline to join this next group is this day. And by you putting that sense of urgency, they might, come around and be like, okay, sign me up. Okay, you know what? I'm ready. Let's just go ahead and do it. So that's something that I do.
Yeah, and then I'll just finish it up so we have like 3 minutes before you guys head out. But again, last few days of the month. So that Success Club Crunch. Here's just a few different ideas of how to hit Success Club. And you guys are in this Diamond Dash for a reason. You know what it means to hit Success Club. But we just wanted to make sure you guys have it out there that it is completely possible right now to still be able to hit Success Club. Do not write it off, as it is. I don't even know what day it is. The 29th. So you have till Monday at midnight. Obviously, we know there's some incredible deals coming in February with the $20 off unlimited promo codes, but don't use that. Don't talk about that until February, because right now is January and we have to focus on where we're at right now. So what I would be doing is today, I would be posting a transformation photo of number one, me, but then maybe you do a carousel of some other people on your team or your challengers. If you don't have your own challengers yet, feel free to use other people in your own team because they're there for a reason. They've all gotten transformations with Beachbody, and your transformation is going to speak for itself 10 out of 10 times. That's why people are going to start to trust you, because you have done exactly what they want to do. So today I would post that transformation photo, and every person that likes, comments, enjoys it, thank them and ask them, are you on your own health journey too? Right? You have to have that urgency. You cannot sit back and wait and hope, because it's not going to come to you. 4.5 years later, I wish I could say it just comes so naturally, but I still have to work for it. Because again, this is our business and we have to put ourselves out there every single day. to have that success. So whether it's a challenge pack, they order Shakeology on Home Direct, they do the boost, performance line, beach bars. There's so many different options, but again, don't count yourself out until the month's over. So make sure that you are doing your diligence and your actions today to set yourself up for that success. Does anyone else have any last minute tips for Success Club end of the month crunch?
I mean, I think, at the end of the month, if you haven't done the due diligence of leading up to now, it's going to be really hard for you. You can definitely make it happen, but you're going to have to 10 extra efforts. If you get yourself out there and you start sending invites and you get a bunch of no's, you're going to have to keep plowing through that. But really, ultimately, this is more about consistency than it is about just, like making any goal. The more I see myself taper off, like at the end of the year last year, I kind of tapered off in my inviting game, and I was like in a really bad place in my own personal life. Now that's just now catching up with me. Now I'm like in this place where I am scrambling to make new connections and make new conversations and, try to reach out to people and invite them to my challenge group. But there is this huge delay sometimes in our business. And really, I would encourage you, yes, it's the end of the month. There is still 100% time to hit Success Club. Make it happen. Make it non-negotiable. There's no reason why every single one of you cannot hit Success Club, and you cannot look at your coaches, then the ones that you bring on, and be like, hey, can you hit Success Club things when you're not doing it yourself, right? I always lead from the front. I make sure that I am first and foremost to hit Success Club amongst all of my coaches, but I'm also looking towards February and going, okay, I'm not going to stop just because it's the end of the month and I'm not going to hit Success Club. I'm not going to stop because that's going to make February harder, right? So all the work I'm doing now, even if I don't reach Success Club in January, I'm going to make that work in February for me, right? So it's all kind of a trickle down effect to make sure that you're consistent in this business and that you're hitting Success Club.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm just going to say just this right here. If I taking myself back and I'm in this predicament and I'm like, oh my God, I need a Success Club and I have 3 days left. Guys, this would be my go-to. I would drop a transformation post and I would invite people to try a sample workout. And so everybody that likes or comments or views, I would put it in my social media. I would probably do a story on it and I would plaster it in all avenues that I can. Right. And then everybody that likes or comments, they're going to get a message from me. And the message is that because again, I'm trying to hit a goal by the end of the month and I'm going to 10x my actions. And yes, I'm going to compress it a little bit because normally I'd like to do it with time. Right. But and then again, I see what conversations I'm having with them. I don't just right away, but if it's somebody that I've been having conversation with, I will say like, hey, if I sent you a sample workout, would you be able to do it tomorrow or today? And if they say yes, I send it to them. So now they have a sample workout and I follow up with them the very next day when they say they're going to do it. Hey, how was the workout? And then I get that conversation going to possibly say, okay, like, listen, I know this is so like last minute, but we're about to end the month and I'm about to start my new challenge group. And the last day to purchase to be able to join my Fit Wars or whatever is today. And I hate to like put that pressure on you, but I know you would love my Fit Wars. You would love the accountability group. And I know this would absolutely serve you. So, are you in it? So that would be like my crunch go-to. Like that would be how I would set it up. I would give them a taste, right? I would invite them, ask them if they have the time to do the taste workout, send them the workout, and then follow up right away and have that conversation and invite them to my whatever I'm doing. And again, this is just how I would tackle it if I was in that predicament that I'm in the end of the month and I haven't hit Success Club. So I hope that helps. And that could, and Maddie and Jackie could absolutely have a different, Monica too, might have a different way. That's just the way I've done it, in the past when I'm at the end of the month and I have my goals.
I love it. All right. Well, if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. We'll post the recording in the Diamond Dash. If you have anything that you want to kind of go back on or different ideas of different sample scripts, but feel free to reach out to any of us. We are so grateful you guys jumped on today. Have an incredible Saturday, an incredible weekend, and finish your month strong.
Thank you, guys.